Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society, bringing you our nightly update on the tropics. We got a little bit to talk about here in the Atlantic. We finally have a little bit of potential agreement with the battle between the AI and legacy models here in the Atlantic tonight. And then, boy, we've got some stuff to show going on in the Western Pacific. It is unbelievable. A pair of Category 4 storms with both, maybe both, one, if not both of them, have a run at a Category 5. So it's crazy times out there right now. But first, we have Gabrielle out here into the, I would guess you would call it the open waters of the Atlantic Basin. It's strengthened a little bit here today. And as we could see, we still have a 20% chance of development on this area out here, still located over the tropical Atlantic. If we take a look at our advisory, currently, Gabrielle is located at 25.6 north, 59.0 west. It is approximately 580 miles southeast of Bermuda. The maximum sustained winds have come up to 65 miles an hour. Present movement is northwest at 10 miles an hour with the minimum central pressure of 996 millibars. There are currently no coastal watches or warnings in effect. Interest in Bermuda should still monitor the progress of Gabrielle. Currently, the only hazards affecting land that we have are the swells generated by Gabrielle. And if you note here, swells generated should reach the east coast of the United States from North Carolina northward, along with Atlantic Canada later this week into early next week. So if you plan on going out to the beach this weekend and you are north of North Carolina, please exercise caution. There could be life-threatening rip currents out there. If we take a look at the forecast track is well removed from Bermuda, still forecast to become a hurricane, make a slight run at major hurricane status, but then later on down the line, folks out here in the Azores may need to keep an eye on this as well. So just because not all the time does it turn into fish storms. And unfortunately, this may be one of the Azores are located right here. That looks like there could be some problems. So, heads up on that one. May end up with tropical storm watches on that. Now, I did not draw this earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm winds graphic. I did not do that. But if you take a look here, and its most likely arrival time of winds, you could see here through the overnight hours and the very early morning hours of Monday, or Sunday night into Monday morning. So if we're going to see those tropical storm force winds here in Bermuda, and it will really depend upon how strong Gabrielle can get over the next, we'll say 24-ish hours or so. All right. The tropical discussion, this one here notes the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, and I did not pull that up. I should have. But as you can see, it is an absolute mess. It's definitely there, but the overall data that we got back was kind of choppy, I guess, if you'd say. And this one was a little bit earlier, so we've got Mission 1 and Mission 2. And that's basically what we're dealing with there, as far as its justification for its intensity in this current advisory. So it's more or less Paragraph number 3 here is about the most important one for our folks going forward here, with the potential of seeing this getting too close to Bermuda or not, and as far as its intensity is concerned. So I'm going to read this third paragraph to everybody. Gabrielle is expected to be in a light to moderate shear environment for the next 48 hours or so, and steady strengthening is expected during this time. After being less aggressive on the 6Z runs, the 12Z runs of the regional hurricane models have trended stronger. This new intensity forecast keeps a peak intensity of 90 knots, which is above the intensity consensus but below the regional models. After peak intensity, it again appears that Gabrielle's extratropical transition will not occur until after the end of the forecast period. So the intensity forecast shows steady weakening due to increasing westerly shear and decreasing sea surface temperatures along the forecast track. The new intensity forecast again has had some minor adjustments from the previous forecast. If we see here, that what that basically means is that this may hold on to a little bit more tropical characteristics as it is rounding the high pressure and heading towards the Azores. And as you can see here, the key messages: Gabrielle is forecast to become a hurricane by Sunday and pass east of Bermuda Sunday night and Monday. While the chances of impacts are decreasing, interest on Bermuda should continue to monitor Gabrielle's forecast, since some wind and rainfall impacts are still possible. So they have it coming up to reaching its peak intensity around 48 hours at 105 miles an hour, and maintaining that through 60. And then by the time that we get to the end of the forecast period, it is back to 70 miles an hour, but it is sitting basically just to the west of the Azores. So at 70 miles an hour here at 2 p.m. on Thursday would potentially mean that we would get some possible significant impacts here to the folks in the Azores. Taking a look at our intensity models, they are not really calling for anything, get it close to a Category 3, but for the most part, it is a strong Category 2 in pretty much everybody's thinking. If we take a look at the consensus here, the TVCN consensus, has shifted a little bit to the right over the last run, and the intensity has held somewhat the same, right in that 90 knot range, what the National Hurricane Center, 95 knots, somewhere in that range. The HCCA consensus has shifted quite a bit to the right, which then also has brought the Azores into play, and it does not bring it to a Category 3. The official forecast from the National Hurricane Center has also shifted just a little bit to the east with this previous run. If we take a look at the ensembles, this is where things get quite interesting. So we're going to push this out to 7 days, and if you notice, we have Gabrielle has exited the scene, right? Well, if you look in the exact same spot to where Gabrielle is currently located, we have a few areas and a few circles that is representative of wave or disturbance number 1 that we have on the outlook currently, with a 20% chance of development. Now, if we push this out to 10 days, we get a little bit more of a signal here for that wave. We don't get anything here. We have nothing here. And on top of that, we've got just a couple circles out here. Not much. And this is chicken scratch with a little bit of a signal of a new wave emerging from Africa, but we're not worried about that at all. All right, let's compare that to the GEFS. Now, remember, we've had our legacy and AI models kind of battling it out over about the past 4 or 5 days. Today, there's a little bit of difference. So, if we look here, we have Gabrielle coming out like this. All right, let's pop this back to day 7, and you will notice that even at day 7, we've got a little bit of a signal right there in the southwestern Atlantic. If I pop this forward to 10 days, as you could see, we have a little bit still of something that could potentially get a little closer than some of these most recent ones. We've got a small signal right here, not really much here, and not really much here. So this becomes the question right here. This is the wave that was highlighted earlier in the week and the second wave that is currently highlighted on the outlook. So this area in the southwestern Atlantic is becoming a little bit more of a hotter signal. And if we compare that with the Euro AI and we drop this back to 7 days, we've got that second wave right here. That highlighted wave is currently right here. We have a small little signal right here, nothing else anywhere else. If we pop this forward to 10 days, then we get this down here and all of this in the Western Caribbean. We have our other wave doing whatever it was doing, and then this ushered out due to a frontal boundary that would be coming off the United States. That's the Euro AI. Now, if we compare it all to what we have with the Google DeepMind, this is where things become a little interesting, because if you remember, the Google DeepMind had been very, very aggressive on trying to drop this first wave into the Caribbean. Now, the Google DeepMind is in more of an alignment with what we see with the GEFS and yesterday's deterministic run of the GFS, and what we have also seen with the energy from the Euro popping up here into the southwestern Atlantic. So we're going to highlight this whole thing. Now, both of these are both waves, 1 and 2. As you can see, they should not be a threat to U.S. interests. But you can pretty much guarantee that anything on this type of track would possibly add a threat to Bermuda. And if it were to develop out here into the Bahamas, obviously for those folks that would be a little bit of a different story. But a lot of uncertainty as far as what intensity would be. A lot of uncertainty as far as what the central pressures would be. Now, if I put the Euro on, we've got a couple. As you can see here, I will shut this off. And you could see that the Euro has a couple. Not a lot, just a couple. DeepMind a little bit more. And as you could see, a couple little circles down here as well. So, all in all, it does look like that the AI models are going to lose out on this one, and that we are going to end up with this area here to be the primary area to watch. And thankfully, we shouldn't have to watch down there. We're still going to keep an eye on it, but at least the models are taking it out of that big threat zone that brings the Gulf into play later on. So if we're going to be dealing with tropical systems, let's keep it out the Gulf, if we would please. And if we can keep it out of the Western Caribbean, that would be optimal. All right, Now, we are going to jump into our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. We have the Euro on the left, the GFS on the right. This represents areas of spin approximately 1 mile above the ocean surface. Now, actually, we're going to start it off by giving everybody kind of an idea and our bearings. We have Gabrielle right here. We have the wave that was highlighted earlier in the week right here, and our other wave that is currently highlighted right here. So we're going to watch all three of these features as we go forward here in time. We are going to take this all the way through and into day 5. So if you're watching them both, now we're into day 5. We kind of get a little bit of a signal here to where the Euro has kind of brought them into, or the GFS, I'm sorry, has kind of brought them into one. The Euro still has a comprehensive separated signal. You don't see that here on the GFS. If we run this forward just a little bit more, as you could see, we don't have anything getting down into parts of the Caribbean any longer with both of these. On top of that, we have, and I'm going to push this out, we're going to go to day 8. They are in somewhat agreement. There is Gabrielle, as you can see here, maybe making a run for Europe. That's possible. We've got a new system here. Well, the GFS has it over here. We've got our other area of energy, the GFS absorbed it, but we've got a massive area of low pressure that is causing this large frontal boundary, and the GFS has kind of incorporated that and developed it into a low pressure and is trying to exit it off. We'll come back so we can show that again. As that wave lifts, it starts to, get up and maybe get a little bit too close, but you could very clearly see the spin over the United States with that low pressure. So it's going to be, I expect the GFS to change a little bit more and to usher it out a little further. I think that this low pressure is going to be a little bit more potent than in agreement with the Euro than what we have with the GFS. But we'll have to wait and see. There's a little bit of a high pressure there in the way. All right, now we're going to check in on our humidity. We've got our 500 millibar level on the top, 700 millibar level on the bottom. Euro on the left, GFS on the right. The upper graphics represent approximately 3.5 miles above the ocean surface. The bottom graphics represent approximately 2 miles above the ocean surface. Browns represent our dry air. Greens and blues represent our moist air. Being that the majority of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season has been overtaken by atmospheric dry air and Saharan dust, it's very important to take a look at this. Now, we've got our other areas here on the Euro, our two little spots, wave 1, wave 2, right here. On the GFS, the other wave, and actually I'm going to come back on it just a little bit. You could see the first wave right here at day 4. It's right here. And wave 2 is right there. Let me get, here, let's erase that and we'll do it again. Wave 1 is right here. Wave 2 is right there. The lower levels, though, are not aligned. As you can see, there is a great amount of shearing ongoing, and we'll show that here momentarily. As we run this forward, it just kind of exists and gets a little intermixed in the flow of what this becomes. Then that other wave gets stretched out and becomes kind of the moisture that is associated with the other area of low pressure right here. Now, if we look at the euro, we already know what the seeds show us, and as you could see, a very potent frontal boundary. Look at the dry air and the low pressure over the United States. You've got the low here, the low there, and driving that dry air off into the Atlantic. All right, not as much down here in the lower levels, but it is still there. The euro, on the other hand, has a very, very well-defined dry air mass that would basically sit over the entire southeastern and south central United States. So that would be, though I'm not going to lie, we kind of need some rain. I do like the dry air at this time of the year, but we're getting a little too dry. And would like some rain, but not with a name. So what we have here now is our euro on the left and our GFS on the right. We have our deep layer wind shear. This represents winds changing with height and their wind speeds as well. This goes from about 5,000 feet to about 40,000 feet above the ocean surface. If we begin to run this forward, we will see Gabrielle. There goes Gabrielle. And we are now looking into, we understand that our other seeds are coming. A little bit of shear here on the euro with the other two waves potentially kind of crawling up in this area. The GFS, as you could see, a great amount of shear existing. Big time difference will come to day 7, and there is a massive difference between the two models here tonight. The GFS, as you could see, is just plunging a bunch of shear and then like this across the basin. The euro, not so much. Not so much at all. You don't have anything down here. Nothing. And one of the reasons is that the GFS is developing wave number 2 right here, and that outflow from that system is being added into this. And then as you can see here, we have our cutoff upper level or bowling ball low that is injecting a whole bunch of shear across the Gulf down into the Caribbean. We do not have that cutoff low here, though that frontal boundary is still sweeping in. So all in all, a little bit better news to report on here tonight as far as what the models are showing. Running our dust model here tonight, as you can see, some of these waves are still dragging a decent amount of dust off the African mainland. We don't really get a lot after these two particular sets of waves that are currently moving out. So we'll have to come back and watch this and see if we can't finally put the Saharan dust graphic to rest. Checking in on our Madden-Julian oscillation, as you can see here, there is the potential for some of it to maybe try to build back towards our basin. Not a lot, though some of the rising air may middle of October, maybe, as you could see, a pretty good sinking air phase should help keep things suppressed a little bit. But all in all, it's what we're just hoping that we don't have a lot. It's been nice to have somewhat of a lessened threat season. It's nice to just watch them, but we don't have to deal with them. Taking a look here at Earth Null tonight, we can very clearly see there's wave 1, there's wave 2, there's Gabrielle right there. And if we come up into the approximately 6 miles above the ocean surface, as you can see, The storm and this upper level low here, the storm being Gabrielle in our trusty green circle, is moving in the same direction of the winds at height. So the shear value has reduced quite a bit. And then you've got a little bit of a high pressure right here with the winds going like that. So as long as this storm keeps moving in that general direction into the northwest with this wind flow, the shear values will continue to stay low. But the moment that it hits that, that's when that turn is going to take place. So we're just hoping. I don't want to see anything getting near Bermuda. I really don't. And keep in mind, folks, I have to show it. It's a part of the messaging here. That is definitely not our line. We are way down here now. We still got season to go. But it's starting, the threat will start to reduce. We have equinox on Monday. And then things really start to go down, albeit slowly, but they're definitely continuing to go down. Don't forget, we get our new one here on Tuesday for the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook. Still areas that we're going to have to monitor through the first week of October. So don't become complacent yet. Please remain weather aware. Jumping out to the Eastern Pacific here. Let's see here. I'm sure I see a lot of the folks there in chat. So if there's any questions, just let me know. All right, we have our old Invest 96E, pretty much a naked swirl out here, succumb to the hostile environment. We have Invest 97E back here. And that one currently has a 70% chance of development over the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of development over the next 7 days. Though, as you can see, the hatched area is not very wide. So it doesn't really have 7 days. It's got to get its act together and get its act together before it gets out and away. As you can see, over 120 hours, if it were to turn and get out there anywhere where it decides that it's going to finally turn north, it's done. The environment north of 20 out there in the Eastern Pacific, outside of being close to land, hostile, is not really going to be much of anything. And as we could see here, running the Euro AI, again, if it pulls north of 20, it will immediately begin to weaken. It would have to have significant intensity to even try to make it to the coastline, taking that path. If we compare it all with the GEFS, as we could see, most of it runs it out. Again, as soon as it gets north of 20, it's pretty much done for. It will immediately begin to weaken. Now, jumping out to the Western Pacific, these are some amazing storms today. We have Ragasa or Nando in the Philippines, and then we have Neoguri out here. Both of these are absolute monsters, not playing around. Neoguri has got a little bit more of an annular characteristic to it. Ragasa is just an absolute monster. It's going to be a big time problem. If we start with Ragasa, Ragasa currently is a Category 4, 130 mile an hour typhoon. I almost said hurricane, but they are typhoons in this basin. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center is calling for this maximum intensity 140 knots, which would be even with what we saw with Aaron here in the Atlantic Basin as a Category 5. 140 knots is the equivalent of 160 miles an hour. That is a Category 5. If we really zoom into this right here, this update is Category 5. And there are people that live here. There are islands that live here. Well, islands that live here, listen to me. There are people that live on islands here. This is going to be potentially catastrophic. You're talking about Cat 5. Category 5 in the forecast. That's bad. And as you could see, even Hong Kong, Macau, getting all the way, running all the way along the South China coast, this would be absolutely terrible, causing massive amounts of surge all along the southern coast of China, with the potential of flooding and a considerable amount of wind impacts also. If we take a look at Regasa, and there are a couple things that I would like to show folks. We've got satellite view on this thing, and as you could see, it is quite formidable, very formidable. If we look at the microwave imagery, you could see how this thing has really tightened up over the last couple frames. You got to forgive the satellite for not picking up the whole thing, but look at the difference between those final 2 frames. That's crazy. This thing is going absolutely bonkers with intensification. If we look at, just everything shows this thing being an absolute monster. Clear eye, headed towards the Bataan Islands. It's bad, folks. Like, this is just about as bad as you could get. And that being said, talking about it just about as bad as you could get, this one's stronger. Neoguri is currently at 120 knots. It is only forecast to get to 135 knots, which would make it a high-end Category 4 at 155, but Category 5 starts at 157. So it's going to be very close. And as you can see, it is out here over the open waters, but damn, is it an impressive specimen. Look at this. Look at this gorgeous, absolutely monstrous hurricane, typhoon. It went from basically not much at all, rotating that mesoscale convective system around the core, and then really started to ramp up its angular momentum, closed off that eye wall, and has ever since gone absolutely crazy with that clear stadium effect eye on satellite. And it's yes. So let me go here. This is the microwave imagery. As you could see, it'll pick up a little bit, and then boom, look at that ring of really powerful storms around the center of circulation. And the last one looks to be a possibly undergoing an eye wall replacement cycle, maybe. Looking at the satellite on it, and I do want to show it here from Cyclonic WX, because we do get visible on that right now. And as you could see, it is a gorgeous specimen. You can see the sun come up on it, and it is just amazing. And we'll go, before we sign off here tonight, we will pull up Regasa as well. A little bit of a face opportunity if folks like to, find the faces in the storms. It's certainly had its opportunity here today of getting a face. Like you've got one right here. I don't know if anybody wants to, you know, I've got one that I picked up earlier. It is different. It is kind of spitting them out once about every hour or so, 45 minutes to an hour. You get the opportunity for it. But yeah, that one, that there, and maybe that one there. They're kind of scary looking, no doubt about it. And then let's see any more. There'll be another opportunity, right? Maybe about one or two more frames. You need this burst to come back down to set that jawline if you really want to know the truth. But this thing, again, it is an absolute just monster. I don't know if we've got the sun up on it just yet. It should be coming up here very shortly. We went black and white on it. So it does not have a cleared out eye like Neoguri has. But as you can see, very impressive looking as the sun is beginning to come up on that. And it is starting to make its approach over here towards populated land masses. Uh-oh. What did I do?
One of the animals is snoring.
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta be the cat. He gets in here, he buries up underneath the desk, and then he starts snoring into the corner of the desk. He's right there.
Yeah.
He starts snoring underneath the corner of the desk, and it like reverberates everything. He's certainly got a personality and has grown very, very comfortable to the routine lately, and I don't mind not having Deuce anymore. You know, like
snoring cat.
yeah. Instead of having a snoring dog over the last few seasons, like we always had with Deuce, now you get a snoring cat. So, you know, I guess that just comes with the territory here at the Tropical Weather Threat Society. All right, everybody, I don't see any questions of what we have here tonight, so we will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central here on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll see if the Euro AI wants to take away that its final remaining signals out there into the Western Caribbean and drop it up there, pull it northward. North of Cuba into more of the southwestern Atlantic. That seems to be the primary area now with that upcoming frontal boundary moving in and pretty much helping to keep the U.S. safe from potential strikes, at least for another week. We only need to buy a few more weeks, and we can say that we had a good year. So it's too early to say yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And we've only got a little bit longer to go before the threats really, really begin to reduce. It'll start with folks over there in Texas and start working its way further and further east as we get through, and especially after we get past equinox here, we'll start losing, that increased solar radiation. Will start to lose some of that energy coming to the northern hemisphere very slowly every day. There's still going to be a lot of residual heat still left over from basically summer, but that will be the start of fall. So hopefully everybody will have the opportunity to enjoy the beginning of fall here at the start of this upcoming week. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. You're very welcome, Betty. We'll see you all tomorrow night.